Welcome back, guys, to Unstoppable Library. My name is Robbie Jenkins, and this is Christopher Moreno. Our goal with this show is to introduce you to the ideas, people, and products to help you become unstoppable in your life and in business. So today, we wanted to, talk about adversity. As business owners, even starting this podcast and doing the things we're doing, we have to face adversity day to day, day in and day out. And I think this is a huge subject. I think everyone can learn from this. So yeah, we just wanted to talk about it, share our insights, and hopefully it'll help you guys become more unstoppable in your life. So,
sweet.
Chris.
Awesome. Well, thanks for the intro.
Yeah.
So sweet, man. Obviously, we all come across adversity. Adversity hits us in our everyday life, whether you're a business owner, relationships, anything. So when you think about adversity, what's the first thing that you typically think of?
Getting shut down. Getting rejected. Being told you can't do something, or you're not able to do it.
And has that happened to you fairly recent? What do you mean by shut down?
Yeah, I mean, for instance, I'll send bids out to clients, and I feel like I know I should get the job, but there's someone else in that company that's pulling their lever and making them go with a different company instead of me, even though I had got them the best price, the best product, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
So it's just like overcoming, things like that. I mean, that's just one example that I was thinking of when you had said that. But,
when's the last event that you had adversity? Like the last big thing is, I'm guessing it's probably COVID.
Yeah.
Or you probably had one before that too, which we know about. So.
Yeah, I thought you were pushing that route. So
no. Well, let's chat about COVID and kind of how that adversity came out, hit you. What'd you do? Did you freak out initially? Because I think February, March when COVID hit, I think that was adversity for every person, and they didn't know how it was going to affect them. So what did you do? How did you react? What was your mental state, and what were the people around you doing and saying?
Yeah, no, it was definitely it was a fearful time, right? But I just want to, preface this and just say that, in hindsight, looking back on it, I realized that, anytime there is adversity or problems or issues that I'm encountering, to see them just as that, and keep pushing forward because, I'm notorious for it. I'm sure the majority of people out there are notorious for it as well, is shutting down, retracting, not attacking their problems and just, letting things happen to them versus, putting pressure on the problem or their situation, overcoming it and keeping, moving forward.
Right.
And I that's why I wanted to really talk about this today, is just because it's just something huge. If you're still in the labor force, if you're still employed and all that stuff, you're probably still facing adversity. People are getting fired. Companies don't have enough money to, employ, their people. And, the people that they're going to let go is the people that are not adding value to the company. So I just think it's crazy times, and there's a lot of adversity out there. So this is a good subject.
Cool. So what did you do when it hit? What was your environment like one day to the next? Like they shut it down, right? I forget when they got shut down. Everything got said, close your doors. Mm-hmm. You didn't work or your employees didn't work for how long?
I was still working every day.
From home?
Yeah. Just trying to figure out what I was going to do.
And then your employees, they didn't work, right?
Initially, yes. And then it was like 4 days of them doing nothing, or not as much as normal, because all of my, the companies that were placing orders had canceled all the orders.
Right.
So then it was like, oh shit, what am I going to do? And then I had to make some decisions, right? So, let them go and, figured out what I was going to do. So, the remaining time was just figuring out how I'm going to overcome this thing, what I'm going to do next.
So from when it hit to people not working to the government launching the PPP loans, like what was your state of mind? What were you going through? What was the worst thing you thought? And kind of how did you get through it? because I'm guessing initially everybody was just in freak out mode, right?
Yeah.
Nothing like this has probably happened in my parents' lifetime. So
Yeah. Am I going to have enough money to, keep this thing afloat? And I think my mentors in my life, I was on the phone with them, asking them questions.
What'd you ask them?
What are you guys doing? What would you do if you were in my situation? This is what I'm going through. Just asking asking questions.
Cool. Let's dig deeper. So don't be vague. So what did you ask them? Or you actually said what you would ask them. What do you remember their responses being from what you do remember?
One that really stood out with me is my uncle told me, just keep your business afloat. Like, just think about this, right? He's like, if you have to make the tough decisions right now, make the tough decisions right now so that you're still in business a year from now, right? The goal for you should just to be in business next year. And if you, cut it short, or if you, lay some people off that you probably shouldn't have, then you'll find out soon enough. And it was tough decisions, but they had to be made in order for me to still be in business, because we didn't know what was going to happen tomorrow. No one did, right? That's why everyone shut down. Like, they stopped spending, they stopped doing everything. So, and then as the months went on, people started loosening up, and we started, I guess, seeing a light out of the end of the tunnel. But it was literally just, my goal was just stay in business. So I was making every decision I could to just stay in business, put a little bit of money in my pocket, like not a lot. Like, I'm not going to pay myself outrageously, especially when no money's coming in. So mine was just like survive. And I've lived, starting my business, I didn't have any money when I started my business. I lived off credit cards. I lived off of, getting a deal, barely making ends meet, hustling, buying and selling things. So I knew I was going to be able to figure it out, but it was just going to take some time, and I think, it just takes time,
Did you second guess any decisions that you made?
Yeah.
Well, what decision did you second guess? And now 5, 6, 7 months, I don't even know how many months we are later. What decisions were possibly the wrong ones, or which ones were like, oh, dang, good thing I did that? What decisions were you second guessing?
It's tough. I guess the whole, like, when hand sanitizers and all, when I started selling that stuff, that was like a big decision, is like, am I going to risk my company, or am I going to risk not being able to fulfill these orders, or more issues arising and all these other things that I couldn't see, that I don't think anyone knew. Shipping, like, for instance, I think we talked about this last time, that just the shipping and everything was just an absolute nightmare. This problem snowballed into something else. And then it was just, I guess me every day being on top. You got to be on top of your game every day. Like, there's no way, out of it. Like, so, I guess, what was the question? I kind of lost.
No, the second guessing decisions. Did you make the right decisions?
In that much adversity, like when you're facing that, it's tough to make the right decision. And I don't think you are going to hit it on the head every time. You're not going to make the right decision every time, but you have to make a decision,
right? And
you have to keep moving forward. So I think that's the lesson from it, is just make the decision, live with the decision, own up to the decision. And if it was wrong, it was wrong. At least you're admitting it was wrong. I think most business owners, or a lot of business owners, they don't admit they were ever wrong. They have an ego. They have this ego about them that they have to be right, that they have to prove their employees wrong. And if my employee was right about something on an issue, and I saw it that it was correct, great, thank you. But I think that it was just humbling to go through that whole process of COVID. I'm actually grateful. I was saying that. Even during my morning affirmations and other things I do, like, I'm grateful for this. Like, imagine if I was 60 years old, 50 years old, or I was over leveraged. It was a different part of my career, and I lost everything. Like, 'cause that happened to people, right? That could have easily happened to me. There's a lot of businesses that just couldn't make it, that are still not employing people, that are probably never going to come back. And it's just almost the luck of the draw, like travel agencies, for instance. Like, what about them?
Yeah, I always put things into perspective. You just stated I would have lost everything. People lost everything.
Yeah.
Yes and no. Like, I was talking to my girlfriend and like, you know, what if the mortgage fails, or what if we have to put more money into it and all that stuff? One, if you lose physics, you don't lose everything.
Yeah.
The ultimate lose everything, end all be all, is death.
Yeah.
We're all gonna die.
Oh, I don't have the coin in my pocket, but I was gonna show you a coin.
Yeah, you told me about it, and I googled that, and so that's the end all be all for me. Like, losing everything, bro. Like, physics is 80% of you, 70, 90, 95. It's not 100. You know what I mean? Like, if you lose money, I can make more money. If I lose my life, I can't make another life.
Okay,
like,
so I want to dive deeper into this, because what you're saying too is the things that you still have is your knowledge, your skill set, the things that the things you've learned and acquired through time. It's not your money. It's not the things you've built, right? It's your knowledge, your skill set. And if you're doing that stuff on a daily basis, growing personally, growing professionally, then, if that did happen, worst case scenario, that did happen, let's say, right? You still, like you said, you have a lot more.
Yeah. If you put the label on it that you lost everything,
yeah,
you are going to act that way, right? If you say, man, I really lost a lot. I lost a big part of my life, or I lost a big part of the last 20 years that I invested into the physics of the world. Then you put it into perspective. You know what I mean? If you take a step back, you put it into perspective, and you don't let yourself tell yourself that you lost everything. But if you don't have people around you that are supporting you or saying, no, hey, dude, you didn't really lose everything. You know what I mean? You know who lost everything? Is that person that I know that died from COVID.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's an easy gratitude, in a sense, or it's an easy perspective thing for me in a sense. Not that it's easy and, it's hard for everybody else, but when I put things into that category, when I had that conversation with my girlfriend, like, hey, like, we've invested a lot of money into the More Group time, this and that. What if? And I said, well, what if? What if I have to sell my house? Well, why would you do that? Because the house isn't me. I don't care. I'll buy another house. The house doesn't do anything for me. I'll rent a house. Yeah. I'll live in my RV. Like, I don't care. Yeah. I'm okay with the ultimate, like, worst case scenario. And when you become okay with the worst case scenario, as long as it's not death for me, then I'll recover. Then I'll pivot. I'll learn from it. But if it's not life or death, bro, it's really not a big deal for me. Like, things used to be a big deal for me when I first got in this industry, stress out and all this stuff. Like, bro, I've gone down. The biggest stress as a business owner is money, right? Like, what a lot of people.
I want to go into that.
Cool. What a lot of
people. I learned a lot from you from this, and I love this. This is awesome. What
a lot of people forget, I think I was listening to Tom Bilyeu, is the business game is how long you can stay in business. If you can stay in business longer than the next person, then perfect. It's not about year after year, or I did more numbers than them. Like
Simon Sinek.
Perfect. Yeah. The longer there's a term for it. He puts it in the term.
I'll think of it. But
right. So it's the longer you can, we set these rules.
Infinite game.
Yes.
The infinite
exactly.
Game, yeah.
We set these rules with our competitors, or like, oh, they did better. No, it's who can stay in the business game the longest. You know what I mean? So there's been times that I borrowed money from friends this year, and COVID has turned the mortgage industry upside down, and it's also had me have the best year ever. And I've been blessed and fortunate enough for COVID to have blessed our industry in a sense. Yeah. But
because it could have easily been
100%, 100%. I could have lost the More Group, and the More Group be gone, and now what? Like, I start over. It doesn't matter. I'm still alive. I got the breath in my lungs, and I'll get money somewhere. Yeah. But going down, to very little money at times, it's just like, it's not that big of a deal. We're like, I'll sell it all. So the house, the car,
I don't want to go off like too far off subject, but I want to kind of nail down why or how you've built that mindset. And what I don't know, based on my experience, right? For me, I kind of have the same philosophy and mindset, but mine is based on like my happiness. I feel more happy building a company and doing what I want to do versus working for someone else and doing things that I don't want to do. So that's why, I mean, you know, that's what kind of drives me and gives me the ability to think that way, meaning like I'm okay with losing it all as well, and that's okay. Whereas some people are like, you need to buy a house at this age, you need to do this by, you know, this time. They have all these standards, and it's like, well, I don't want to live that way. You know, I'm going to set my rules. I'm going to do the things that I want to do. So yeah, I just want to dive deeper on that. Like, what makes you tick that way, and how did you develop that mindset?
It comes down to truly adversity and going through shit. Going through some rough times, going through, you know, I touched on this briefly, you know, I think our first episode maybe, where I've had cars repoed. You know, I've tried to fake the front and have the nice car when I shouldn't have had it, and still lived with mom and dad. Had that same car, I had a second car repoed in the middle of the night. Like that's not a good feeling. And I think at that time I had a girlfriend, right? And it's I'm trying to keep up and have this portrait, or people see me as a certain way. And I think, you know, when you lose a lot, you know, 3 big things that I've lost monetary wise is 2 car repos and a house repoed.
Yeah.
Like, that's some shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'll tell the story, and I don't know if I told it in detail last time. At the time I was going to Cal State Long Beach, tried the college thing out, thought that was for me. Everybody go to college. I'm one of 4 kids that didn't complete college. The other 3 completed college. And I was too cheap to buy a parking pass, right? So I'm too cheap to buy a parking pass. I park like a mile and a half away. I go to class. I'm coming back at night. My buddy who I was in the class with, my one buddy from college, it's a joke that all my friends know. I have one buddy from college. And he gives me a ride back to my car. And I'm like, dude, where's my car? And obviously I was already behind on payments, right? I not that was the first thing that came to mind. And I tell him, dude, my car got repoed. And not only did I have to deal with that internally at that moment, but there was someone there with me. Maybe he had this persona of me, right? Like, dude, your car got repoed. Like, your car payment, you were behind it. Like, how many months? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So dealing with big time adversity like that,
Sorry for laughing.
I can laugh at it, bro. It's a funny story. I don't care. Like, I'm open. I openly talk about this. Like, I'll talk about me owing the IRS, bro. I owe the IRS for the past 5 or 6 years. Like, I don't care. You could judge me. You could hate me and say, oh my gosh, you filed his taxes late and I owe a bunch of money. Yeah, I owe a bunch of money, and I'm going to negotiate with him, and I'm going to pay it. Like, I'll do my part.
But the thing that I like is, like, you're gonna pay, you're gonna do your part, but you're moving forward, right? Most people have those issues, have those problems, and it cripples them. You know what I mean? And the thing that I love about you is, like, the positivity, the drive. You still have the drive, even though you have issues, you have problems. We all do, right? It's not like, I feel like the majority of people too, I see this a lot. Even I see it myself, and I always tell myself to stop, is like, I always think I'm special. Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh no, this problem only is happening to me. But realistically, it happens to a lot of people out there. And once you put it in that perspective, like, you're not the only one, it takes pressure off you. You know what I mean? Yeah. And yeah,
at that time too, when all this happened, my second car repoed, you really find out who's there to help you out too. You know what I mean? Yeah. So 2009, I think it was 2009. That's when I had my second car repoed. It was a BMW 550. Everybody, you know, that's a nice car. That's a 550. That's fast. Nobody had 550s. You know what I mean? Yeah. It was in my parents' name. When I got flats, bro, I couldn't afford to fix flats. I used to ask my friends to borrow some gas money, because at that point I had just gotten laid off. I had just got in the real estate industry, so I couldn't even afford it, dude. You know what I mean? So I was faking this front, in trying to, I don't know what I was trying to do, bro. I don't know if I was trying to be someone else, but I was trying to, like, I could do this, you know what I mean? I could be, you know, I could have the car. I could, you know, I was getting paid decent money and then got laid off. But it really didn't matter once that car was gone. It's like, dang, I don't have a car. From one day to the next, I didn't have a car. And my dad let me borrow his car. I called it the Tuxedo, dude, because it was like I call it, here's the reason why I call it the Tuxedo. It was like a 10-foot bed, bro. The bed was like freaking long, and it was all white, but the hood was messed up. It was like an old construction truck.
Got it.
That someone sold it from a construction company. It was all white, but the hood was black. So it looked like it had like a bow tie, you know? And it was me at that time getting in the mortgage industry, or back in. I don't know if I got in or back in. I drove the thing to work, bro, and that's not a good look when you're doing mortgages. Yeah. You know what I mean? I used to get out dressed nice, and I used to have my nice dress shoes off, my slacks. But I got out of this car, bro, and I used to park really far. I don't want to see anybody see me get out of it. You know what I mean? So,
what about when you go to like doc signings and
park far, bro? But it's okay because it was how it was how I held myself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When we started the More Group, in 2017, I had to sell my Land Rover at the time. I had to sell my Land Rover to pay off some debt. And once again, I had some equity in it. Once again, I had to sell it to pay off debt. And I went from one day to the next, no car. And I was like, screw it, I don't care. And I was driving my dad's pickup truck. I don't even think it had AC. It was a Dodge Dakota. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And one day to the next, I had no car. I'm like, screw it, let's go for this. You know what I mean? The car didn't matter. I love the car. I used the car. I off-roaded the car. I towed with the car. I used to put up open house signs with it. It was very practical for me. It wasn't a fancy one, but I sold that to pay off debt. Like I don't ever really have any shame. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't want to drive that truck, but screw it, bro. It was what I had to do at that time, and it was a sacrifice I had to make because I went all in and said, well, let's try this More Group thing. You know what I mean? Let's see if it works. Because one day the next, I didn't have a company to go to.
Got it.
So.
That's interesting. So, I mean, as we can see, it was years of, problems, all of these issues and things that were, happening in your life that developed yourself to today. And I think, for me, I think it's pretty funny. Like most people think that this stuff happens overnight, and you have to go through adversity constantly, like throughout the years to develop and become the person you are. And like I use the example when I was younger, like I used to be an angry kid, right? Like I literally went through adversity. Like I'd get into arguments with people all the time. And then I started realizing like, dude, maybe I should just change who I am. Maybe I should stop being this angry person. But yeah, it's like constantly, getting, feedback from the world, from the universe, whatever, and changing and becoming better. And I think that, if people could learn from this, that's huge, Yeah.
So. Imagine this. So we're talking about adversity, which stress could be that. And these, whatever thing causes you, probably like an emotion would be adversity, whether you're mad, angry, sad. Yeah. There's some type of adversity going on. Imagine a life without adversity. Like, do I want that life? I ask myself, I probably don't. Like when you really, really think about it, I don't want a life that's stress-free, adversity-free, because it'd be kind of weird. Yeah. Everything's great and there's no problems. Like, so that means when something good happens, it doesn't feel the same. When you overcome something, like you come out on the other end, bro, like, damn, I did it. You know what I mean? So I appreciate going through the adversity. I appreciate going through that fire because you come out a different person. And for the people that don't want adversity in their life or don't want stress or don't want this, it's like you're kind of looking at it wrong. Like you'd be soft a little bit to me. Like, yeah. What were you gonna say?
No. I was just thinking, I think it's not just it. Like a life without adversity would suck. Why would it suck though
to you?
Like you just said, like that means no one's pushing the envelope, because I feel like adversity comes when you're pushing the envelope, when you're doing something that no one else is doing. That's when you get adversity. Like that's when you get pushback, right? Yeah. And one note I wanted to make on it was just like even the things that you were doing, like, hey, I'm going to go start this business. And then you have all your friends and your family saying, no, you shouldn't do that. You should go get a job. That's adversity, right? You're pushing the envelope. You're doing something that someone's uncomfortable with doing or no one's doing, right? In your family or, right? And as entrepreneurs, we face that all the time. And then even like I was telling you earlier, like I had that conversation with my family members at a brunch for like my 25th birthday and got in a massive argument. And I feel like that's adversity too. It's like, trying to convince people with my ideas or the things that I'm learning are going to help them in their life. like you face that all the time, but I feel like you can't let that stop you.
Yeah.
You know, when you stop listening to yourself and you stop, like, you know what I mean? Like just when you stop taking action towards like your truth, then, you know, the adversity stops, you know?
Yeah. We'll all deal with adversity, and then we will deal with it while we're in the eye of the storm. Do you do anything to prepare for adversity? Prepare for the stress? Prepare for it in a sense at all? Anything you do proactively?
Yeah and no. Because a lot of the thing, I feel like I used to try to prevent and do all these things, but a lot, like you're always wrong.
No, but I didn't say
like,
prevent. What did I say? Like prepare for it. I'm going to go with yes, 100%. You just said yes and no. I think yes, because one, you run, you want to be the healthiest version of yourself. You're always feeding yourself. You're listening to things, reading. You just read a book that made you change your lifestyle and said, you know what, I'm not going to drink, bro, because that's not the best thing for my body. Like, I think that's all going towards, okay, I need to be the best version of myself to deal with adversity better.
Yeah.
Right? To deal with the stress. So I think you do everything.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking you were asking a different question. So that's why I said yes and no.
Yeah.
But then in that case, yes, like I do. And I think that, changing my lifestyle, changing the habits that I do is only going to make me be better, because life is fucking hard, dude. It is, you know what I mean? Like growing up, it's so easy. You're going to school, everything's paid for. You don't have to worry about shit. And then you get out into the real world and you're like, damn, it's hard.
When you say life is hard, tell me what you mean by that.
Meaning like things aren't going to just be handed to you.
Like, right now, like in the past year, what wasn't handed to you? What is like, dude, this is different. Like you just described going out in the world to going out on your own. Dig a little deeper there.
Well,
life
going
is hard.
Back to you have to hunt. You like going back to what you were saying. Like when I had a job, it was cushy. You know what I mean? I was making money and I was just doing what I was doing. But then when I started my own business, like, damn, I actually have to go out and work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You don't get a paycheck.
I don't get a paycheck. I have to do 10 times more to get the same result, and 100 times more to get more than that result of just making whatever hourly wage I was making.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying it's like it's difficult in that sense, and then it's not difficult if you're just collecting the paycheck and not really working too hard for it. So yeah, no, I think it's difficult. I think things are arising, all the time, meaning like the coronavirus and, customers leaving, right? All of these things are happening. So I think, I guess preventive ways would be, not drinking, doing things that are good for your body, making sure that you're prepared so that you're in the right mindset to prepare or to deal with adversity in your life. And that could be, meditation. I do breathing exercises. Yeah, all of that, working out.
Yeah.
Being in the right headspace.
Yeah. I think there's people that deal with the adversity and they all want it to go away, or they don't want to be stressed, but they'll never do anything about it. Just like that convo with your family, like, oh, diabetes, or I say it wrong every time. Diabetes. I said it right.
Diabetes. Yeah.
I say diabetes.
The convo, I'll go into a little bit. The convo was
nobody wants to do anything and change different. So tell the story.
We were at brunch and someone in my family said, diabetes runs in our family. You should watch out. Heart disease runs in our family. You should watch out. And I was like, well, I shouldn't watch out. You guys should watch out because I don't have the same lifestyle as you. I don't eat the same foods as you. I don't do the same things as you guys. I'm pretty healthy. I watch what I eat. I work out. I do all these positive things. I don't sit on the couch every day. So I shouldn't watch out. And it's not going to affect me. You know what I mean? Like maybe it is a little bit naive, but, at the end of the day, like there's things that I've listened to, there's doctors and stuff that I think Bruce Lipton, I don't know the exact, percentage, but don't quote me on this, but he said like 90 to, 95% of who you are is malleable, meaning like you could change it. There's only a small percentage that is actually your genes, and you like part of your genes and you can't change it. And And I think people are just conditioned into like, oh, it runs in our family, so do it. And it's like, no, it's your lifestyle. It's the things you're eating. And the reason why your whole family has a history of it is because they all eat the same thing. They all live in the same house together. They all don't exercise. Or whatever the issue is, right? They all adapt the same, lifestyle. And that's why it all happens to them. But if you like there's studies even that show, if you separate two, biological twins that are exact same thing, you separate them at birth, you'll have one that ends up dead at cancer at 40 and one that lives till 80. Why is that? Because of their environment, because of what they're doing. So yeah, I just was trying to explain that to them. And then
did you truly try to explain it? Because that's what's tough. Like,
yeah,
I don't do a good job at explaining. Like, I had the same version of that with the mask situation.
Yeah.
And in July for my mom's birthday, and I was almost blackballed from my family.
Yeah.
They kind of got mad. Oh, you're a non-masker. You don't wear a mask. Why don't you just wear a mask? Like, okay, let's have that convo. But did you get through to them? Were they open to your conversation? Because where I lose people is like, I'm just like, you don't even want to hear it, or I don't try to have the convo to open their eyes. Yeah. I'm more of like stubborn, this is how I do it and it works for me, as opposed to, hey, let me take this as an opportunity to give them the insight on to why I'm like this. Maybe I'm different, but at least it's not affecting me. Yeah. You know what I mean? I think you told them, no, I don't need to worry about it. As a matter of fact, you're not worrying about it consciously, but on the other side of things, you're doing things healthier to not even have to worry about it.
Exactly.
So it's kind of one and the same. You're not worrying about it and thinking about like, oh, we have this in our family, but you already know you're not even going to go that way. Yeah. You're doing the things to not even have to think about that. What's good for me, I think, or has been good for me in all the times of adversity that I remember, is just having people to talk to, man. Like, a lot of people are isolated. They're on their own island. Mm-hmm. When they have problems, they don't want to talk about it. You know what I mean? Like,
you're a prime example. You're talking about your problems right now.
Oh, 100%.
In front of people. And it's like, you get feedback and you get...
Oh yeah, you open the door. Yeah. Like, I told my buddy that straight up, I just filed my taxes for like the past 5 or 6 years. I just filed them, I think last year, caught up for a massive amount of years. I owe a massive amount of debt, right? And I'm okay having those conversations because I genuinely want to help people, and I genuinely want people to know, like, it's okay. You owe 5-10 grand? That's nothing. Yeah. It's okay. And that opened up a conversation for a phone call that I got yesterday from a friend and small business owner. He's like, hey dude, I owe this much. Like, what are your thoughts? What can I do? I'm like, this is what I've kind of done, or I'm still going through it. So it gives you the opportunity to share. But I think that's why we're doing this, to share the ideas, to share we've been through some stuff. We're still going through some stuff. Yeah. I'm still negotiating my IRS debt. Like, it's not a big deal to me. Like, I'm not Wesley Snipes, but like, I'm not going to hopefully go to jail, and like, I'm not trying to bail on my IRS bill. Yeah. Like, I'm going to pay it. But it's, I don't know, when you share, bro, it's empowering. It's just, you're not hiding it. Yeah. I sat down with a client, bro, and this is why I appreciate my job. And it was insane. So a realtor brought me a client Saturday morning. We're sitting down in the conference room like this, and we start chatting. There's 3 people. There's a husband, a wife, actually 4, a husband, a wife, the mom of that lady, and then that lady's sister, right? And one of the ladies was so scared to come in this appointment. All week, she was worried about it.
For COVID?
No, I think this is... No, because...
Just for face, like...
So, she was worried about it because for the whole week, she said, I've been dreading having this appointment with you guys. She opened up, dude, and she's like, I have not opened up like this at all. And she started crying. And she's like, listen, like, I feel defeated. I feel like a loser. I don't know if she used the term loser, but essentially the story was she owned a house. She had to let the house go for some reason. Someone bought it off her and let her stay in the house, right? So, and the mortgage is still in her name. The title's not, so she doesn't own it, and she's still paying rent, right? She still gets to live there. She didn't have to uproot her family to another house, so it was convenient for a lot of people. Did it? I could have done that back in the day when I got my house repoed. I could have stayed in the house and just rented it from the new owners, which is convenient for you. You don't want to move, and you're embarrassed and all that stuff, and explain things to people, and the neighbors see you moving. And she broke down, dude, like, I feel like a loser. My daughter doesn't even know about this. And, I feel horrible. Like, this is so dumb. I shouldn't be in this position. And I've never told anybody about this. And the family, the mom, the husband, and the sister didn't know that she was holding all this in, bro. And she's been holding it for freaking years. And I said, please just do me the favor next time. Bring your daughter. Like, they need to know this is real stuff. Like, if you hide it, I don't think that's good. Like,
No.
And let them know the real deal. Like, maybe she won't go through, but now she doesn't know that mom really went through that, and mom and dad really went through that. They don't even know if you own the house, you don't, whatever. And then what if they go through? Like, you now empower them to go through a situation that, if it's a different situation, they deal with it differently. But I think we hide things too much where, you know, like I said, like, I'm asking anything, bro.
I think that just people are ashamed, and it's like,
why ashamed? But let's get into that. Why are people ashamed? I go through adversity. I owe the IRS. I applied for the PPP loan and all that stuff. I didn't get it. I know friends that got it. I know friends that got a lot of money. I didn't get nothing. They're putting me through the ringer. Yeah, I applied for it. I didn't get it. Okay, cool. I got to deal with it. Other people got it. Like, other people be like, oh, like I applied. I don't want to tell people I applied. Like, who cares? Why is it a big deal?
I mean,
I don't know. People ashamed.
I just
When's the last time you've been ashamed? How about that?
I mean, when I got my business stolen.
You were ashamed?
I just,
what were you ashamed about? Why? So the word ashamed, that's a strong word. Like,
yeah, just like, I feel like I got taken advantage of. I feel like it was, just, it was just a lot of weight on me. I mean, I don't know if you use the word ashamed, but like, just like embarrassed, that, yeah.
What's weird, bro, is I think right before we started the More group, I started listening to podcasts, and I fell in love with the process so much. This is what's weird. Like, I really mind-effed myself, dude. Yeah. That when I sold my car and dropped it off at my buddy's house, I took a picture of the navigation screen, the time that I dropped that car off. And this is what it goes back to, having the people around you, or feeding yourself, making yourself ready for adversity, making yourself ready for that next event. I was already proud of that moment, because this was going to be a step in my journey that I was going to think back on, that I was going to talk about. That, and if I look back in my phone, like, I could find the date that I dropped off this car, and this was a big deal to me. Like, this was one of my favorite cars. Like, this is a car I wanted for a very long time, and I loved it, dude. Like, this was like, before that car, I had a Prius. Like, I'm 6'2", bro. I don't belong in a Prius. You know what I mean? So
no, neither of us do.
Yeah, exactly. So when I got this car, it was a big deal. It was a milestone for me. So when I sold it, I was so in love with the process that I was like, dude, this is gonna be part of the journey. This, like, I get to talk about me selling my car to pay off debt to start my own gig. And if it works, it's awesome. If it doesn't work, that other thing that doesn't work is gonna be a part of the next, like, my story, right? My storyline, my book, if I was writing a book. So the only reason why I can fall in love with that process was because of the things that I was listening to, the Gary V's. I don't think I was listening to Ed Milet at that time, or Tom Bilyeu, but it was those influences that allowed me to appreciate this time in my life.
It's just a start. It's a starting point for your journey, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, in order for you to become the successful CEO, or whatever it may be, you have to start somewhere, right? And most people are scared to start. Yeah. Take that leap.
It's scary, dude. It's for sure scary.
Yeah, 100%.
And the biggest reason it's scary business wise is just money, bro.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, yeah.
Money and failure. And failure, thinking about failure and losing it, like that adversity, if I failed. The only reason why we care about failure, bro.
I wanna talk about this.
Go for it. About what?
About failure. Just because I have a morning phone call with my buddy every morning. It's kind of like our daily huddle, like you do it with your business. But yeah, we were talking about it, and I was like I'm almost like ashamed that I didn't try more. I haven't tried more last year or this year and stuff, because I feel like if you're not failing enough, meaning like I ran the 100 miles last year, and I was like, I should have done something else. Like, I didn't fail, and I think I'm still scared of adversity, scared of failing, right? Because failing, is adversity, I would say. But yeah, it's just, I think the majority of people are just scared of failure. And I feel like if you lean into that and you do fail, then that means you're trying something, you're doing something good for yourself. You know what I mean? But most people like rob themselves of ever, failing.
I think that the fear of failure I always put things into really drastic measures. Like, they say on the other end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
No matter what it is, like, it's hard to explain. Anyway, so put failure into your life, right? Let's just say that you were Will Smith in I Am Legend and you failed. Does failure matter?
No.
Why? Nobody's around. Nobody's judging you. Nobody's make you feel bad. Instagram's not around. Nobody's saying, oh, dude, you did that. Oh, bro, that picture is ugly. Or, you know what I mean? If you were the only human on earth and you failed, nobody knows. Therefore, you wouldn't care. But failure comes and is important to people because we care about what people think. Like, who cares?
Yeah.
Like, I think people ask me, like, well, what if the More Group doesn't work? And like, the old company you were with, and like they see, you fail. I'm like, who cares? Cool. Like,
I envy you for that, because it takes a lot of balls to do that, to step into that.
Why do you envy me for that? Because that means that
I don't do it that well, because I'll use an example for even the 100-mile race. Like you had, like, I think Lauren was going to come out, right? Joseph came out and did a little bit. But I was like scared. I was like, if I fail and they came out to videotape some of this, then it's like, I'm like, damn, I you know what I mean? It's a lot on my shoulders. I felt like,
but expand. What's on your shoulders?
Like, maybe I didn't prepare enough. Maybe I didn't, you know what I mean?
So what does that mean next time? You prepare harder. Like,
yeah.
Like, do we let people down? Were they going to be mad at you? Like, very often, employees will come to me and ask me a question. I'm like, nobody's mad. I'm not mad. So what now? Like,
I think the fear of failure is okay at times, meaning it could push you to achieve something that,
oh, for sure,
because you don't want to fail, because you're scared of what the outcome will be. So I think it is good at times, but the majority of time I
think I need it more often. Sometimes I think it's bad. Like, sometimes it
can be reckless.
Yeah, for sure. You know what I mean? That's where having people around you can either help you while you're going through adversity, or they can check you a little bit and say, hey, dude, like, you're kind of being kind of reckless. You know what I mean? So if you don't have anybody around you, you know what I mean? If you're I Am Legend and you're doing all this crazy stuff, it might cost your life, right? Nobody's going to say you're a failure, but it could be reckless.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So I think, that's the important part for me with all of that. It's like, failure to me, bro, like, what is failure? Failure is different to other people. Like, failure to me and failure to you,
it's different,
completely different. And you might think you failed, and I might see it completely different.
But that's why I like talking about it too, because like I said, I'm afraid of failure sometimes, and I hear your story and I'm like, wow, damn, I need to start stepping out of my comfort zone a little bit more, and being more ballsy, stepping into maybe potentially failing, because that's where the growth comes.
When's the last time you failed in business?
Just getting hung up on cold calls and shit like that.
Your failures are too small. Honestly.
No.
Conrad had told me, I think we were listening to a church service or something. He said, if you have little problems, bro, you want bigger problems. Like, think about your little problems right now. Like, I'm mad at whatever. Like, have bigger problems, bro. Like, do you think that...
I don't know. That was just the first thing that came up to my head.
Yeah, like, have bigger failures.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I know you well enough to know that you're very calculated. You won't want to do something. You're very reserved. It'll take you a long time to make a decision, or you won't do that marketing strategy or something because I've never done that. Like, have bigger failures. Hopefully they don't lose you a lot of money. Like, the failures, remember, we all think failures equate to money. That doesn't mean they equate to money. You know what I mean? Call a bigger company. Like, who hung up on you today? Okay, the employee at whatever, at the More Group, let's say if it was, and we're a small company, we have pieces of crap, little tiny orders compared to the big orders. Yeah. Go bigger. You know what I mean? But we're
scared of that. Yeah.
Have bigger failures, bro. That if you have bigger failures, then you're going to have bigger wins.
Successes, yeah.
Right. Just make sure your wins are one more than your losses, and you're going to have a winning record. You know what I mean? You'll come out on top.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I don't think people take the opportunity to put themselves in a position that, dude, I might fail. You obviously have to have people at your back and have your back if something happens and you fail, but you never want to put something on the line where it's going to jeopardize your whole life or your family or the whole business. But put yourself in a position to, like, fail big, dude.
Yeah.
And most people won't fail big. Like, I put myself in some risky positions to fail big, and thank God, bro, that I haven't failed yet.
I know.
I've gotten close to it. You know what I mean? But you know, at the end of the day, bro,
you put it out there, bro.
It's if it's not life or death, bro, I can buy another car, I can buy another house, I can make more money. Like, it's not a huge deal.
Yeah.
I'll move back in with my parents. Like, I know they probably don't want that. Sorry, mom, but like, if people are like, I can't move back in with my parents. Like, really? If I had to, I would. Who cares?
Yeah.
I get to see my parents more often. I don't see them often enough now. It's a win.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Maybe they don't see it as a win, but I think we're all ashamed. Like, that goes back to shame, and I'm embarrassed, and people knew I lived at my parents' house. And why do we care so much about all that other stuff? But yeah, that's kind of how I see it.
And I think some people on the other side may say, oh yeah, like you said, I don't want to move back with my parents. I don't want to, like, that subject is just too much for them. And I think being open to listening to this and taking some of the principles that, you know, Chris is talking about and implementing them in your life can definitely help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I went too hard in the beginning, bro. Like,
No.
I wanted to move out of my parents' house too fast.
Yeah.
Like, stay at home as long as you can. Like, I wanted to get the nice car too fast.
Yeah.
And what happened? Cars repoed, house repoed. Like, don't try to live this life of, like, either trying to keep up. And I think more so than me back then, bro, like, I think everybody's trying to keep up. It's insane. Like,
And especially with Instagram and all these things.
Yeah, seeing the decisions people make is like, oh, man, that's not the smartest.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I went through it. Ask me. You know, I've gone through, you know, the car's not worth it right now.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't know.
Interesting. Well, you want to wrap it up?
Yeah, go for it.
So yeah, hopefully you guys learned a lot from this conversation. It was so fun. I learned a lot. I mean, every time I talk to Chris, he opens my mind and you know, fills it with ideas and things that I could be doing better in my life. So if you're struggling with overcoming adversity, step into it, lean into it, become a better person. There's so many resources. There's so many things out there. Hopefully this helped you. Look at other resources. Go on YouTube. There's so many things out there that you can do to improve your life. And yeah, that's it, guys. Thank you for watching. Next time, you know, we'll probably have a guest on.
Yeah, hopefully.
We'll see. We got some new things in the works. But yeah, subscribe and we'll talk to you next time.
Remember, be unstoppable.
Become unstoppable.